So we can start right now till other participants come. Last time we have spoken about three things. The first thing was Google Classroom and how to create a class on Google Classroom. The second was, Mr. Mahmoud, if you please close your camera. The second thing was 21st century skills. After that, we have spoken about classroom language. We had already given you a task to do, and today, God willing, we will discuss this together. This will be our second session. This second session will be about Mahmoud, mute yourself if you please. Turn off your camera. When we speak about task one discussion and task two, we have taken an activity to answer using the 21st century skills. If you please mute yourself because someone is making a kind of disturbance during the session. Right. So we'll discuss what you have already written or done for tasks.
من فضلك الصوت واطي.
Because of the unmuted microphones, please mute yourself.
Okay.
Mr. Man, mute yourself. iPhone. Mr. Mahmoud Samir. Right, can you hear me now? So let's say it again. We'll divide our session into 6 parts. The first part will be a kind of discussion of what you have already written about how to do these activities in your school and in your class in an innovative way using the 21st century skills. We'll discuss task 1 and task 2. After that, we'll go through Google Classroom task on page 23, and we'll have some new ideas related to this task on page 23 and page 25. Finally, we'll see what's meant by portfolio, and we'll give you the task for the next session. So let's start with our first part. This is the last task we have given you. It was about teaching the time in your primary 2 grade. We have got some innovative teachers. I want to hear from you some of your great ideas. Miss Yasmin, can you give us some hints about what are the techniques or the ways you would do to teach this subject? Miss Yasmin Tunios.
Yes, Mister. I prepared the second task.
Right, so Miss Minna, thanks Miss Yasmin. Minna Sam, can you give us some hints about what you have already written about this task? Miss Minna Sam.
Yes, Miss.
Yes, Miss Minna, can you give us some hints about what you have already written about how to teach this activity in your class?
Okay, first I'll use songs from YouTube. Then I can make slides by PowerPoint, showing of clocks, and give pupils time to tell the time, and then I show the answer and correct the right answer.
So you have used some materials and some platforms to deliver your message to your students. Is it suitable for the young learners age, Miss Minna?
Yes, I think using songs first to tell them how to tell the time,
Right.
and then I can give them pictures through PowerPoint, pictures only, and then give them 5 minutes to think about telling the time, and then I show the answer gradually, and then correct their answer or
Right. Okay. Thanks, Miss Minna. Someone else, Miss Noah, have already written. Thanks, Miss Minna. Miss Noah has already written about another technique in teaching this subject. Is Miss Noah here? Can you tell us what you have written about this task and how to teach it? Can you have someone else to
Yes, Mister.
what he has already written, please?
Yes. I have a clock on the whiteboard and show the directions it goes. Tell them this kind of clock has two hands, short hand and a long hand. The long hand, tell them that the long hand starts at 12 and moves around. Maybe ask them to bring a plate and draw the clock. Yes, that's only.
Yes, thanks, Miss Noah. So you use the
Thanks.
realia to deliver your message to your students. You make them involved in using the shorthand and longhand and give them some examples of how to use and say the time. Is it what do you mean by this?
Yes, yes,
Yes,
Mr.
thank you,
Yes.
Miss Noah. So we
Thanks.
can sum, thanks, Miss Noah, and thank you, Miss Minna. We can sum up the two ideas in the next slide. So Miss Minatullah Sam said, I can use the real clocks. So she brought some clocks to the class and she used some songs from YouTube. After she has already gave them the example of using these clocks, she showed them a song on YouTube to help the children to read the clock. She said that I can use PowerPoint slides like we are using today, slides through smartboard. She will show her students these slides through smart board with pictures of clocks and give pupils time to try reading them. She can use also the repetition to repeat some certain time to get the students used to say that time. Then the correct answer appears to them. This is very great because when the student says the time correctly and he sees that he is right, it gives him a great pleasure to participate in the next and next steps. Right, thank you, Miss Minna. As for Miss Noah, she said in the third clock, she differentiated between digital clocks and the analog clocks. And she said, I will tell the students that this kind of clock is analog clock and this kind is digital clock. This is new words to give them and a new meaning. She could use some realia to show them the difference between the two clocks. It has two hands, short hand and long hand, so the student can differentiate between the short hand for the hours and the long hand for minutes. The third hand shows the seconds. This is the short hand. It's some thinner kind of hands in the clock. Have a clock on the whiteboard and shows the directions it goes. This is how the hands goes in the clock, and she could make the students try to use these hands. Right. I will draw shorthand on 1 and longhand on 7. So read it. It's 1:35 and so on to give the students the meaning of time. Thanks for your participation, Miss Minna and Miss No. There were a lot of other creative methods of teaching this lesson, but we only take a sample through Miss Minna and Miss Noah. Now let's move to the next activity. It was about teaching let's go shopping. Now, Miss Yasmin, can you tell us about this activity? You have already written about it.
Okay, Mister. In this task, I use critical thinking and problem solving skills. Also, I use collaboration and communication skills. I tell people that today is my mother's birthday, so we need to make a party for her. I let them think what we need for the party. All of them, I think they we need a cake for mom. So I tell them, okay, let's go shopping to make a beautiful cake for our mother. Ask them what we need for cake. So I hold some flashcards for eggs, milk, flour, and sugar. Finally, I use my smartphone to play a party song for them and let them to use my microphone to sing and to play together. That's all.
Right, excellent, Miss Yasmin. So Miss Yasmin used most of the 21st century skills. She used critical thinking, problem solving, creativity. She used a lot of materials to deliver her message to students. She used songs which students are very interested in and so on. Yes, Miss Safa Lotfi, I'm hearing you are raising your hand. You can speak now. Miss Safa, but I can't see your microphone. So, Miss Safa, you can write down the question in the chat box and I'll answer it. I'll look for the chat box now. If you have a question, Miss Safa, please write it down and I'll answer it. Right? Now let's complete what we are talking about. Someone else who had already written about this task. Miss Minna, can you give us some hints about how you will deliver this lesson to your students in primary stage, primary 1? Miss
Yes,
Minna?
sure. First, I'll explain the activity. I will tell pupils that today we are going shopping before a vacation, and each one should think of what things he will need before the vacation. I can divide the class into groups. Each group has 4 or 5 pupils, and give them time to discuss and see what each one needs. Write down the answer, and then after some time, I can. Make the pupils of the groups communicate together and take notes of what each group want or needs to buy, and then discuss the answers with all the class and write the common things they need, for example.
Thanks, Miss Minna. This is excellent
Thank
way
you.
for teaching. So Miss Minna used another technique or method. She divided her class into groups. I think the magic number for these groups are 4. So all studies prefer to use 4 students for each group. Right, she divided them into groups and gave them some hints about the task wanted, and she observed them and gave them some hints during doing this activity. Thanks, Miss Minna. Miss Noah, can you give us some hints about what you have already written concerning how you will teach this lesson?
Yes, Mister. First, I greet them and ask them what does the shopping mean, and with who they go shopping. Also, ask them what they do on the vacation and what things they need. I teach the new words using flashcards, maybe miming, use also body language and movements. I'll get the students to act the dialogues and someone asks and other answers them. Yes, that's all.
Thanks, Miss Noah. Here is another new technique, like using miming and flashcards. I think flashcards is very familiar for students in this stage. So using miming and gestures, using body language, face language are very important for delivering messages for students in the young age. Thanks, Miss. Now let's see what you have already written about these activities. As for Miss Minna, she said, I can say that today we are going shopping and each one should discuss with his colleagues what he needs to buy for the vacation. So vacation or holiday to be easy for students to know the meaning of the word. Divide the class into groups. We said that the number should be four. For example, this is a good number for dividing the students into groups. Ask them to take notes. This is a new way of teaching the students how to take notes, how to write down some notes related to their lesson of what they believe they need to buy. We need to buy some things to make the glossary list complete or full, then discuss their answers with other groups. This is another kind of exchanging information with other groups. I have obtained some new words in group A and I will give it to group B and take another new words from them. This is perfect, Miss Minna. I will go around to observe the students, get them feedback, and give them comments how to do well in learning this or doing this activity or lesson, and listen to their answers and discuss the answer with them. This is perfect. Thanks, Ms. Minna. As for Ms. Noah, she said, I will greet the class and ask them. This is the greeting. This is a kind of using the class language. Okay, to start with something to make the students familiar with the new subject or topic. If you please mute yourself because you are disturbing us, please, and ask them to look at the picture and tell me what is it about. So it's a picture about making a party or something like that. I will use cards. As we said, flashcards is familiar for students to teach the new words. Also, I teach the words by miming. This is perfect. Using miming, using facial expressions, using body language, and so on. And ask them to repeat after me. Repetition is very good for students. We have already taught some activities using repetition. And we said that repetition could give the students a kind of confidence. I will get the students to act the dialogue. So they are seeing the dialogue on the page, and the teacher asks them to act this dialogue. Mr. Mahmoud, Ms. Safar, please mute yourself, Mr. Mahmoud. Right? So we have said I will get the students to act as the dialogue. Someone asks and the other answers him. Also, I will ask them what they do on the vacation or the holiday and what things they need as a kind of giving them extra new vocab related to vacations. As for Miss Yasmin, the second task, I use critical thinking and problem solving skills. So those are two skills of 21st century skills we needed to concentrate on when delivering our lessons. Today is my mother's birthday. We need to make a party for her. We need to buy some things for the party. So to make the students think about what are the things needed for a birthday, what are things needed for making a kind of cake and a present for our mother and so on. Let's go shopping. This is another thing, shopping, to do a shopping list and to buy them. They will learn about how much are those things. I ask pupils to think about what we need for the party. I use some flashcards, real objects, this realia, and this is very excellent for young age students. CD for the party, songs, and a microphone to make the students sing and listen to their friends. Is that okay? That's a very excellent and good task from you all. Here is the samples we collected from your colleagues' answers. And now we'll turn the next part of our session. It's answering the question on page 23. I have asked you to answer the question. Here is think about how confident you have become in the following areas. So you should take yes, I can, or not quite sure, or no, I can't. Here is, I'll give you some minutes to think about this. Number one in understanding 21st century skills was A, I can say what the 21st century skills are. We have already spoken about them last time, so you can say what they are. If you don't remember them, so you can choose not quite sure and so on. That was the task. Now we can drill a new technique. It's about dividing you into groups. Here is something called breakout rooms. In breakout rooms, I will divide you into rooms to discuss these areas and say your opinion about it. Let's try it. Is we should have this breakout rooms, but I couldn't find it. When I find it, I will divide you into groups of 4 and give you some names and let you for 5 or 4 minutes to discuss the question I asked you. But here is at the moment I can't find it, so I will search the screen. No, it's not here. Yes. No. So let's go to another thing.
Sir Abdurrahman, if you please, can you share the screen? I can't see the screen.
Can you see the screen now, mister?
Okay, that's
Okay, but I was searching for something, I couldn't find it. It's called
yes, I can see.
breakout rooms. It's almost at the bottom of the screen, but I couldn't find it. When I find it, I will divide you into groups and participate in this activity. Now let's turn to the next slide. It was about the question on page 25. Here is how to keep up to date, how to develop yourself, how to communicate in continuous development throughout your whole life. The aim of this task is to find out how to keep up to date with developments in teaching and create a professional development portfolio. We'll know the meaning of portfolio by the end of this session, but now how I can keep up to date, how I develop myself to ensure you meet your goals. Now look at the tasks below and share your ideas with your colleagues on Google Classroom. We have given you this task and we'll sum up some methods of how to develop yourself. First, keeping up to date. We'll read this. There are many different ways for teachers to keep up to date with teaching methodology. As professional teachers, you need to stay current and develop your skills and keep up to date with practice, whether in general teaching and learning approaches or specialist language teaching skills. Think about some of your recent teaching experiences. What activities have you done to improve and update your skills? Here I will give you some hints about the answers in your book. This first one said, I benefited from websites. We have got a lot of websites we could benefit from. I gave you 2 main websites. First, Learn English, British Council, and then Teach English, British Council. Here I will share the screen with you. Can you see this screen? This is teachenglish.org.uk. Can you see it? If you can say
Yes, miss.
yes.
Yes.
Right, this is
Yes.
right. This is a very nice and useful website you can use. You have the link on the PowerPoint presentation, and I will give you the PowerPoint presentation on Google Classroom to get the links. If you don't know, write down www.teachingenglish.org.uk. Now we are out of time. We'll upgrade. Please rejoin again the session. Now let's continue. So you can benefit from all these tabs and learn a lot of activities and materials. You can use it in teaching English. The other website is Learn English. You can find the skills, 4 skills: grammar, vocab, listening, speaking, and writing. And you can find some material related to IELTS. You can find Learn English Kids for young learners, or for teens, for adult learners. This is for primary stage, and this is for prep and secondary stage. You can find out another tab here. This is Teach English, which you have already opened here. So you can go to Teach English through this tab. Right?
وصلهم في الصنوف فلما تراءوا
Sir, I can't hear you. Mr. Mahmoud.
Yes, yes, Mr. Abdurrahman.
Yes. Who is speaking? Right. Mr. Mahmoud, please mute yourself.
Mr.
Right.
Not.
Let's go back to our session.
يا جلال الفداء في خطاب ويا جمال الوفاء في عمار ذكرينا يا هجرة الحق ما قال وكيف استهل الخطوة السكاري
Right.
كل دنيا على
Please mute yourself.
بناء.
Right. Let's go back to our screen and finish with the last things here. Here's websites. We have already spoken about 2 websites. I think if you tried it, you will enjoy them. Here is the second man spoke about workshops. He attended many workshops in his school, and he got some new ideas of how to teach these activities, and he developed these techniques and so on. Another one said online courses. We have a lot of free online courses, which are MOOCs. We have already spoken about a lot of these courses in the previous year, and gave you some hints about Coursera and edX and so on, and how to benefit from them to get the certificate and to get the information related and techniques which you can use in teaching a lot of subjects. The last one is observing other teachers. You can go and attend with your friend in his class and listen to the way he delivers the teaching methods, or how he give his students new information, what activities he do, what can he do when he find out some problems with his students they couldn't understand, if he use some materials and so on. This is very good, and you can listen to his feedback and give him another feedback. You can invite him to attend your session or your class and to give you some hints about how to improve yourself. This is very useful for exchanging information with other students or other colleagues in your school. Here is what's meant by portfolio. I think most of you have already used this portfolio for students in some years before the Ministry of Education canceled it. What's meant by portfolio? You may have already worked with learners' portfolios, a popular way of motivating learners, providing a fun way to review language and helping them to reflect on their own learning goals, because they have all the materials they produced in one file. They could see what are the steps to advance and to go through their learning process. With your learners, a portfolio is a collection of work prepared, maintained, and developed by the learner. So the learner collect all the materials in his portfolio. Portfolios can contain information about the learner and about their learning experiences, as well as examples of their work. But what kind of information would you expect to find in a teacher portfolio? So this will be the question for our next session task. I will ask you a question related to portfolio. I will give you in the next slide, and this will be the end of our session today. Here is the question. Answer question on page 29 on your main book, journal book. Answer it on Google Classroom task. I'll ask you this question again on Google Classroom. What goals would you include in your portfolio as a teacher? If you collect your work in a portfolio, what will you put as goals in your portfolio? The second question, what other things apart from goals, it's not goals, could you include in your portfolio? Could you include your CV, your mission, your task, your future career expectations, or whatever you want to put in your portfolio? I am waiting for your participation. I think this is a brief summary of our session today. We have already discussed these 6 points. First, we discussed the tasks you have already participated in. Task 1 related to how to I teach the time. Task 2 was about how to teach a kind of party and a listing for glossary. The third thing was answering question on page 23, but unfortunately we couldn't divide you into breakout rooms to discuss together because we didn't find the icon which named the breakout rooms. After that, we spoke about Google Classroom task on page 25, which was about portfolio. And we said what's meant by portfolio, and the next task is answering the question on page 29. It was my pleasure to be with you today. Any questions? Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr.
Thanks for your great and
Thanks, Mr.
enjoyable participation. Till we meet again in another session. See you later. Thanks and goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr.